Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Monday. I'm Jim Coyle. Welcome aboard. I hope you had a great weekend. Charlie Miller with us for a bit. We've got Kyler joining us as well from the Hoosier.com to get you updated on what's going on with some IU basketball. Lots to talk about. Dustin Apiric will join us today as well. So hope you had a good weekend. Of course, we're brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, and Endeavor Hospitality. Make sure you go and join the WOW Club today. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and do that, as they are a sponsor for IU Athletics, more importantly, for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And it's just easy and free, and it's going to be great because we're going to have some fun. People, hello, Five Lefts. Jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline already. Jesse as well, saying hello. Charlie Miller, how are you doing, my friend? How was your weekend?
I am doing well. Everybody's doing well out there too, man. I had an awesome weekend. Back on the court, back home in Dallas, so just enjoying myself, man.
Steve W, John C up on jumping on as well. Appreciate you guys. Hope you had a great one as well. Let's see. Over the weekend, Devontae Green signing a new Hungary deal. There's something to talk about. Our man Clint Eastwood apparently passed away.
Oh, man.
Is that correct? Because I thought I saw someone just say R.I.P., so I assume that, but you should never assume in this business. But
right.
Maybe he didn't. I don't know. It's not popping up, so we'll have to get back to that. Kevin Harvick. How about Kevin Harvick on the NASCAR, man? Goes 60-something races without a win, back-to-back on two different tracks, especially as well. Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson both schedule return visits to Indiana. Indiana football at its first live scrimmage, and the Colts lose 27-24 to Buffalo. So there's a whole lot to unpack. Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com with us right now. Kyler, I just mentioned Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson already rescheduling visits to IU. That has to be a gigantic boost of confidence. And as a matter of fact, Jalen Harrelson has rescheduled 2 visits to Indiana for North Carolina and for Hoosier Hysteria. That's got to be a big boost to Indiana recruiting.
Right, and it's still early, with the 2025s, but it is the right step right now for those guys. Both of them scheduling visits for Hoosier Hysteria plus the North Carolina game. I mean, that's 2 big atmospheres for both of them to be a part of. And I am positive there's going to be a lot more visits at that North Carolina game and Hoosier Hysteria. But for those guys, Indiana's doing all the right things that they can possibly do right now.
Yeah, but what's it mean getting a return visit? These guys are young, like you said. They're going to be sophomores, but Indiana has not really laid into the top Indiana talent here of late. And it's kind of like the 24 class was not that big, and the 25 was the first big class. They seem to have really set their sights there and have dug their heels in and are doing pretty well in that class.
Right, and it pretty much sets the base, what they need to do. It's like I said, it's still really early in the process, these 2025s. But for them to go ahead and already schedule 2 return visits, so they'll have a total of 3 visits before they even get into the basketball season for their sophomore year. I mean, that's huge. And you'd have to expect that there's going to be a lot more visits, official, more unofficial visits moving forward with those guys. I mean, you can say Indiana, like, they have missed out on the top talent and everything. Xavier Booker, that was going to be hard to get, from the start. Once he kind of had that kind of lackluster high school season, had that big summer, it was kind of too late for Indiana. The 2024 class, they've got, they extended the offer to Flory Badunga. That's a guy to watch for. He's kind of in that second tier right now as far as, targets for the 2024 class, but they are making it a point that they want both Sisley and Harrelson for these 25s, and they are building that strong relationship very early on.
Absolutely. Charlie, when you were getting recruited, what did you get to come to any events at Indiana, or was it just normal recruiting trips? Because I know, first of all, that was a different time. That was during Bob Knight. So a lot of differences there.
Yeah, great question. It was I came through what now we call the Hoosier Stereo. I came to Midnight Madness basketball.
What did that do for you?
And that was
did that send a message to you? What was it like experiencing that?
Yeah. I mean, that was different. Like here was a practice, and you have thousands of people watching a practice. I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it still. And I can only imagine when you got young players. First of all, local players that are really good in the area of Indiana. They're coming to watch Who's the Stereo 1 and then coming to watch a perennial national game like against the UNC. I mean, they're gonna be hooked. They're gonna be hooked on Hoosiers, man. They're gonna be hooked on Phonics, right? I mean, that atmosphere is what they want. I mean, it's what it's about, right? And I can tell you now, I can only imagine that if they've already set up next steps for next visit, that means that first visit went extremely well to where those guys can see themselves being there. They can place themselves there in 2025. But, because I remember Jared Jeffries doing the same thing. Jared used to always be in our locker room, unofficially, officially, whatever it was, because he was close. And that's a good relationship, proximity, as far as being right there. So that's a good sign, I say, for us as Hoosiers.
What did that do for your recruiting? Because the one difference is those guys have not seen a lot, if any, success for Indiana to achieve. Last year was a little bit of a turnaround, but they've seen Indiana under Archie Miller, these recruits that are growing up. So it's a different viewpoint than you had. I don't know how much that impacted your recruiting when you went to Hoosier Hysteria and saw that.
Right.
And not even being from Indiana, these guys are from the state of Indiana, but I don't know that they put they better watch Indiana a lot. There's not been a reason to watch Indiana a lot if you weren't a fan.
Yeah, I hear that. And, and one of the things that really sold me on Indiana was the coaching second, the players first. I don't know if they have access to the players, but I mean, it was the players that I really, when I was in that locker room, I felt I could see myself being here and enjoying my time, learning how to learn it, like controlling it. That's what sold me. Coaching staff was second to none. I mean, let's just put it that way.
And Kyler, that seems to be what this staff is selling to these guys. It doesn't matter where these guys come from, Indiana or out of state. This team seems to be bonding, and the program seems to be bonding, more importantly, as they rise in talent.
Right, and I mentioned this multiple times before. Woodson and staff, they're going to go out and they're going to get the best players. They're not going to stick, in the state unless they have to. Harrelson and Sicily, you have to. In a way, you can't let those guys go. You could have said the same thing about Xavier Booker, but like just mentioned before, that was going to be hard to beat because it was just so late in the game. But, this staff has just built an incredible atmosphere with only about a year together. I mean, I saw it in the press conference room and everything like that. It was just, a breath of fresh air, like, being in there. It was like, a brand new light was put onto the whole, the whole organization, the whole program. The staff really bonds together. They like to, go back and forth with one another. They like to, have fun with the players and, all the teammates, they generally like each other. You don't hear a whole lot of locker room issues with these guys. But, I mean, that's what they're selling. That's what they're selling. You're going to come in. You're going to be like a family. These teammates are your brothers.
Flory Badunga is one that he is from the 24 class, from that weaker class. But, man, oh, man, he is a top end recruit. I don't know if Indiana can make enough inroads with him, but boy, oh boy, he is, by the time he leaves school, he is going to be a very, very, very coveted player.
Right. And then, him coming in, there was a lot of the talk, like we mentioned before, like he was connected to one coach, with his Indiana Elite program, kind of going to like there was a school that he was destined to go to. I don't think that's the case anymore because you wouldn't have seen Purdue or Indiana offer him. Right now, his recruitment still remains a mystery, and it's probably going to remain a mystery until the very end. It's kind of hard to gauge where he's going just because of that language barrier and things like that, and trying to, reach out to him and stuff. And this is all brand new to him. He's only been playing basketball for about 3 or 4 years at this point. But yeah, by far, he's the best player in the state when it comes to the 2024 class. And then that 2024 class, you get to the top 10, and there's just this big drop off right now as far as other guys that Indiana's looking at. They're also looking at Cannon Catchings. That is part of that class. He's going to be in that top 10 before too long. But yeah, the 2024 class, they're going to be looking elsewhere. They're going to be looking at Liam McNeely, Derek Queen, those type of guys from Montverde. So expect a lot of out-of-state recruiting from the 2024 class.
Yeah, and Liam McNeely is a kid that's mentioned, Charlie, who originally from Texas, and I was like, well, Indiana doesn't really have a shot because every time I would see him or his recruiting, he was just Texas related. I'd see him play, Baylor coaches all around him, but now he's going to Montverde Academy down there in Montverde, Florida, where Jalen Hood-Schifino and Malik Renault, current Indiana players, are from Indiana, and they're recruiting KJ Evans and Derek Queen. So they have a nice relationship set up there. And you've got former players that will be able to talk to him as well. So they're getting pipelines very, very important, especially in this day and age with recruiting. And Indiana is doing a hell of a job with that.
Yeah, and Kyle, you said it. It's the culture, man. And that's, win, lose, or draw, people want to be a part of a winning program. And I know this may be like a paradox, but sometimes winning is not always measured by winning the national championship or winning the Big Ten. It's winning for life for a lot of these guys, and they see value in a coaching staff like Coach Woodson's put together. They see value in the players that are in the locker room. And Kyle, you said it. If you see everybody's loose and they have the room, I have room to go back and forth with you, and we understand because, again, we are like a family. That's now a winning combination. It's not I speak, you listen. I say, you do. No, we all have an opportunity to contribute to this thing we're trying to build, which is to win for life. So that's what these players see. And that to me is more valuable than anything else as a player, as a former player.
Tyler?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's just, it's just amazing to see what Woodson's already built in his short time there. Really changed that program around of Archie Miller. But he's going to build that culture, and I think, when he's gone, when the next coach is in, they're going to already have an established culture for that next guy.
Right. Another thing, too, I want to just throw out there is, you got to keep in mind his tenure as not only an NBA player, but also as an NBA coach. And I got to think that's a big attraction for a lot of these players because there's a blueprint. There's a phone call. It's really a phone call. The kid, if you can play, that's a phone call. Also, you got to keep in mind, he was a dog as a college player. He was a great college player. So he has a blueprint of that too. So you rarely get that. Not saying every coach has to be a former player, but you rarely get that trifecta of being a phenomenal college player, a phenomenal NBA player for over 11 years, and a phenomenal coach for 30 years at that NBA level. You can't, that combination is okay. What player would not want to play for him?
Exactly. It's a wealth of knowledge, and it's not just the knowledge. It's the connections. It's the connections.
It's the relationship.
It is immense.
Yes.
But everything has to work for everybody. There's different reasons for everybody. Everyone picks where they go for different reasons. So, but Indiana's in great shape. And as far as reestablishing statewide recruiting, I think they're going to do that with Jalen Harrelson and Sisley and guys like that. But they're not going to be they're going to be a nationally recruited team. They're going to have the best talent. If some of that best talent is from Indiana, those are the guys they're going to recruit, like Sicily and Harrelson. And if not, they're going to wherever they are. If they're at Montverde Academy, that's where they're going to recruit. But to be a winner on the national stage today, as you know, Charlie and Kyler both, you look at Duke. They don't play. How many of the players on their team are from North Carolina? Same with North Carolina. Same with Kentucky. Same with Kansas. Any of those programs, it's. I promise you, they will always all have less than what Indiana will have as players from Indiana, and Purdue even more so, because they're not as much of a nationally recruiting program, I don't think. But that's just my take on that.
That's not even an argument. Like, you look at a Duke roster, nobody's from North Carolina. Rarely, right? I mean, with respect to saying that's not an argument, but that's been a tradition that, they've always had on that scale. It's always been like a national, kind of recruiting thing. And I think with us, if I can speak on this, you guys speak better. I think when you had us in our heyday, it was a lot of the Todd Learys, the Pets, Grahams, a lot of the great players of the state of Indiana stayed home, right? So I think that's what I hear more than anything at the outside.
Clint or Kyler, what's up next for you, man?
So right now, obviously, we're keeping track of all the recruiting updates. Still waiting to see what Arlington Page is going to do. Committing. We're kind of digging into the 2024 class. Also looking ahead for the upcoming season. Right now, I'm working on a player-by-player preview of the upcoming season and what to expect out of them. So that's something that we're going to be doing weekly. And then other than that, we've got a ton of football content up at thehoosier.com, and then a ton of recruiting updates. So, be sure to always be on the lookout for those.
What's the biggest thing that's happened here of late, other than the rescheduling? Anything besides the rescheduling of these visits that I may have missed out on?
No, that's about it. Right now we're just kind of updating you. The 2024 class is kind of the main, recruiting class that you're kind of looking at this point. The 2023 class comes down to, what's Arlington Page going to do. There could be a couple guys that sneak in to there, but as of right now, the biggest news was the rescheduling of Sicily and Harrelson.
Is that surprising? It's not surprising in any way. To me, because they're both Indiana kids, and those are big games. So who the hell doesn't want to go to that game? And especially since there's interest there.
No, it's not surprisingly. I think it's more of a surprise that they did it so quickly, especially after 3 weeks ago they just had the visit and everything and already scheduled it. But it's not surprising that more visits were scheduled, especially with those type of games, or the Hoosier Hysteria and that huge North Carolina game. And like I said at the beginning, there's going to be a lot more people that are going to be in attendance as far as recruits.
And as far as getting these games that Indiana have this year, their schedule's a lot better, Charlie. What does it do having a North Carolina at home, having getting to play Kansas, getting to play Arizona, Xavier for these recruits? Because that schedule had not been as strong here of late, but now they've really ramped it up.
That spells, again, growth. And that's, again, what a lot of players want to be on that stage. And you're playing against the schools that, traditionally speaking, have been powerhouses. And, that's a big sale. That's a big prospective opportunity for these guys to come see, the product also. Win, lose, or draw. They get a chance to see the product. They get a chance to see themselves being on that court, imagine themselves. So that whole picture is being painted, because also a strong schedule you have, and they're going to get a chance to go first. It's nothing like when I saw the practice. I saw the practice. And I saw the locker room, the internal struggles we had, the joys, ups and downs, and then I go watch them play on TV. A few weeks later, I was just in that locker room. I just watched them play. What a game. I can see myself being there. I'm excited about that. Calling back to a couple of guys. All of that stuff is like, that means a lot more than just the recruiting scene of the campus and the schools, the dorms. That internal, again, the family, the culture, the team, the growth, the relationships, the people you actually click to more than others. All that stuff matters. All that kind of intangible stuff that kind of shows up that we may not be thinking about.
What's up next, Kyler?
Yeah, so just recruiting updates, figuring out what Arden Page is going to do when his time lined up commitment is, and then other than that, football content and then previews of the upcoming season.
Looking forward to it. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com, follow Kyler Staley as well, at Kyler Staley, for all updates on that. We've got to take a break. Charlie Miller is with us. Charlie, you got to go as well?
Yeah.
All right, Charlie, thanks for joining us as well. Hope you have a great day. And we'll look forward as the season starts kicking up, getting to chat more.
That's right. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You bet. Charlie Miller and Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our friends from the WOW Club, Southern Stone, of course, trying our roots in limestone with their love of Southern fare, created Southern Stone. Quality, local, and organic food is their main focus, essentially working to provide their guests with an exceptional dining experience located on Patterson and Rogers, part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store, sign up, and start earning WOW rewards today. Back with much more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, right after this.
Can you still hear me? Okay. I've messed with a couple things. I can't 100% check to see if they've worked unless I restart my computer, but I'm afraid it's going to screw the stream up.
Yeah, I would think that it would. So we're at 20. We started this break at 21:09, roughly.
Yeah, I don't think.
20. So we got to come back in.
I've left the studio before and come back in whenever I don't think it'll end it. I really want to see if this will fix it, but I also don't want to screw up the stream. Because during that last segment, I went through my settings again, or some different settings, and I found something that was off, and I fixed it to where it looked like it was supposed to go, but the only way to really tell if it fixes is usually whenever I switch settings around.
Yeah. Well, let me focus on this if you don't mind.
That's fine.
When does Dustin come on? 9:30?
I don't know if I just thought about this. Is there Monday pressers today? Is he traveling to football?
Yeah, and we were supposed to talk about that, and I forgot. So you might want to text him. He might already be here.
He's almost always on time, I think he.
Football may have been open the whole time today.
I'm trying to get a hold of him.
Which sucks. It means I could have done my show out there this time and could have made it in to watch some of it, but I'm going to text Jeff.
Gosh, this morning is just... It is what it is.
Well, that's the first time that's ever happened, but of course that's a bad time because
it just drives
it's a bad time because of Ed Hint. Well, damn it.
Well, I would have discovered this issue.
I wish. And we've got to find a way to be able to communicate during the show. Like with a second line or something.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
A back line or something.
Go ahead and come back from break if you want. I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Oh, shit, 24. Here we go.
All right, go ahead.
It's right on time. So, actually. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Monday. It is the beginning of the week. How about this weather? August. Global warming, swarming. It's been absolutely incredible. Indiana football had their first live scrimmage over the weekend. We'll talk about that. How about Kevin Harvick? I mentioned in NASCAR, he goes 60-something races without a win. And there was 5 races left, I think, or 4 races left when he won last week before the playoffs. And he became the 15th different winner, I believe. So to somewhat secure his spot in the playoffs, but now it's definitely secured as he goes back-to-back wins. Amazing. You go 60. That's over 2 years, I think, or 2 years at least. But now it's back-to-back wins, 2 completely different tracks as well. Congratulations to him, man. That's the same team that Chase Briscoe from Mitchell was on. Stuart Haas, of course, Tony Stewart from Columbus, Indiana. That team, so congratulations to them. And anything mentioned about Clint Eastwood earlier, forget about that silliness. He's 92 and still kicking, baby. He's awesome. Fernando Tatis and the Padres. Man, the Padres are battling to get into the playoffs. They're battling for a wild card spot, of which 65 and 52 they're in at the moment. I don't know that they're gonna have to fall apart a little bit to fall out, because right now the Brewers a game and a half. The Central, whoever finishes second in the Central, I don't see them getting into the playoffs. But 65 wins for the Padres. The Brewers in second with 61, so they have a couple game lead there. The Padres are severely behind the Braves, but they are a game or so ahead of the Phillies. So they've got some room, but they just traded and for Soto, that great pitcher, but then you get the young Fernando Tatis. I was watching, they called it the Clayrod or something, K-Rod broadcast for the Yankees Boston Red Sox game last night, which was kind of cool because it had A-Rod was on there with Derek Jeter. A-Rod is more than open about his mistake and how horrible of a mistake that it was, and that he says, I'll probably never get in the Hall of Fame because of it. He goes, it was just a horrible mistake. He's so open about it. I've got to get him props for that. And he was just very, very disappointed for Fernando Tatis because he's so young. He says it's going to follow him for the rest of his career. Although he says he inadvertently took the medication that had a banned substance in it to treat ringworm, he would not appeal the suspension after learning the mistake. That's not a good sign when you won't appeal an 80-game suspension. It's called Clostebol. He has a $340 million contract. Can that be voided? Who knows? Did the Padres know they traded for Juan Soto beforehand? Who knows? So there's that. So baseball, there you go. And did the women end up? I think the U.S. women's national team lost to the Netherlands last night. Yep, you are correct, Justin. Cards are in First Central by a game or so. Yep, that's going to be a fun battle to watch, I guess, going down the stretch. I don't know that there's no other pennant battles. Everyone has a pretty healthy lead. The only one is the National League Central. The Padres, I don't know. This may be a record. What's the record for being games back in your division and still make the playoffs? Because the Padres are 16 games back and will probably make the playoffs. So there's that. That's a gigantic fat no. 5 lefts. No. Ross mentioning he's a big wing. I know he's a big sprint car guy. Tony Stewart's team won the Knoxville National Saturday night as well, out there in Knoxville, Iowa. So congratulations to those guys. That's going well. So they got some good stuff going. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. The Colts, they lost the preseason game over the weekend to Buffalo. They shuffled off to Buffalo and lost 27-24. I don't put a lot of stock in wins and losses in that stuff, but it's what happens in between. And you could definitely see some holes where they need to get things fixed at the receiver position. So there's that. Let's see. Should the NCAA tournament expand? It's been 11 years since the men's NCAA tournament expanded from 65 to 68 teams. The women's tournament made the move this past March. Apparently that might be enough. Why? I mean, is this about more money? I mean, why do we need to expand the men's basketball tournament? It's great and I love it, but you keep tinkering with something that's great and you're going to screw it up. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Well, you're just going to let everybody in? What the hell's the point of, and I'm not saying that's what they're saying, but SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey suggested to a publication that it could be time to take a fresh look at the big dance. Why? Because the SEC sucks at basketball? Because they don't get as many teams in? No, it's not. Because you're all not good at it. Then they need to worry about extending the football playoffs before they need to talk about basketball. Way before. His reasoning, expanding the tournament is about greed and would only be about securing more bids from middling power conferences teams like the SEC. There you go. There is a difference between St. Peter's earning its way via an automatic bid and Texas A&M getting a hall pass, the writer said. And I agree. If I wanted to see every team in the damn thing, basically, well, that's yeah. Would that create some upsets? Yeah, but you know what? Those upsets I don't want to see. We're already seeing great upsets. The tournament is great. It doesn't need to be touched. Speaking of, look at St. Peter's. You already have it. You don't need to tinker with this, man. Justin thought that Ryan looked pretty solid in the short pass game. Hines may be lethal. He thought he thinks Hines will have a breakout season. Not sure about the defense yet. Yeah, you can't get a lot from preseason games. Serena Williams announced her retirement, if you missed that. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss out on anything before we get back to our guests. Dustin Peart. Hopefully Dustin's on with us today because I know he might be traveling down to football, and I've got to find out if they've opened.
He won't be coming.
Okay. Have you already checked that? All right. So we'll have to wait till I get that fixed next week. I think we talked about that, but it looks like practice may be completely open. But how about the beef between John Calipari and Mark Stoops? It's still going on. Kentucky football coach Mark Stoops responded to men's basketball coach John Calipari's comments on the football program earlier in the week, saying, "I stay in my lane. I don't care about anyone's program. I stay in my lane," Stoops said after football practice this past Saturday. "But when you start talking about mine and the people I compete against, I'm going to defend my players. Don't demean and distract from what we've done to get to this point." Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult for what Mark Stoops is doing than what Calipari's doing. Gee whiz. But that should tell even the Kentucky fans, as blue-blinded as they are, that Calipari is nothing but a self-centered, selfish individual. He didn't care about Kentucky or anything else. He's just about him. On last Thursday, Calipari demanded a new basketball practice facility for the Wildcats. Demanded. I love that. Demanded. Can't just go to the athletics director and have a conversation at a place like this. You must demand in public. Yeah. What an idiot. He said he's not going to wait any longer for athletic director Mitch Barnhart to greenlight the project. So now he's not only calling out the football coach, now he's calling out the AD. If necessary, he'll raise the money himself, added that his 50-some NBA draft picks who've earned $2 billion will contribute. Well, let them build the damn thing. You whiny ass. Why do you got to whine about it? Why don't you just keep your mouth closed, go to these guys, get the money, and do it? Do you know why? Because it's about attention. When people do things for attention, it's readily available, obvious. Because when what they're doing, when it's not the focal point and they are the focal point, that you can tell people are doing things for their own benefit. There's some of that going on at Indiana. John Calipari pointed to the complete overhaul of facilities for just about every other sport on campus. He believes it's time to do the same for basketball, and the reason is this is a basketball school. It's always been that, he added. Alabama is a football school. So is Georgia. I mean, they are. No disrespect to our football team. I hope they win 10 games and go to bowls. At the end of the day, that makes my job easier and it makes the job of all of us easier. But this is a basketball school. And so we need to keep moving in that direction and keep doing what we're doing. Stoops has taken the Wildcats, by the way, to 6 straight bowl games and won the last 4. So there's that. So there's some fun. Some no love lost down in Wildcat heaven. I think people are getting tired of Calipari. I mean, he recruits all these guys, but what does he do? He gets beat by St. Peter's or he gets beat by Evansville. He has won 1 national title with 50. He just bragged about having 50 NBA players, but yet he's been able to win 1 national championship. I don't know if I'd be bragging about that if you weren't able to do anything with that talent, that amount of talent. It's a lot of talent to blow through. Robert Morris and NIT, yep. You know what? You're probably right. He's been there a long time, and he's done a hell of a job. And I think that there's a good job waiting for him for sure. Taterology. They compete in the SEC. It's not easy. They've done a good job of being competitive. You think the Kentucky AD said I don't think he would say that out loud. He may have said that to himself. Ross has been enjoying the BBN meltdown. Justin said UK football has been solid enough in the recent past for those comments by Calipari to seem a bit silly. No, not a bit silly, more silly, extremely. Well, they're extraordinarily silly just on the face of themselves, first of all, because it's same school. You should never want to do that. Secondly, it's false. The Kentucky football program has had more success than the basketball program in the last 6 years, in my opinion. Caleb says Cal admits in his book that getting players to the league has always been more important to him than winning. Well, I bet that makes Kentucky fans feel good. What the hell does it do for them? Nothing. So there's that. There is that. Stoops would be a great fit. No, he wouldn't, because he'd be kicking. And then you got to deal with him at Indiana, man. That's right. They coached there under the great Fry, Mr. Fry, Coach Fry, I believe, correct? John Boy, you wouldn't know that.
Say again.
I asked something that I knew as soon as I said it, you wouldn't know.
Oh, it was a Stoops with Coach Fry. I know he played for Iowa. If that's what you're referring to.
Well, I thought he coached for Coach Fry as well. Coach Fry had like some unbelievable staffs. It was crazy. Let's see. Someone sent me a text, a message. What's Louisville doing to get all these football recruits? Because they have not had a lot of success here of late. They play in a weak league, but they are doing very well recruiting wise. And it is a little mystifying. We'll get to that maybe more later, but maybe later in the week when Rick Bozich joins us. But Tim says Jacksonville fans booed Watson as soon as his feet hit the field. And yeah, good for that. Justin says Calipari's bitter he can't make a run in the tournament with a roster full of 5 stars. There you go. We got to take a quick break. Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our great friends from BB's Market, all part of the Wow Club, of course. BB's Market is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live. JD's ready to take care of you. They've got some of the best custom meats around. BB's Market also has the best made of in-house products as well. So you can order online, visit bbsmarket.com, and make sure you've joined the Wow Club before that, and you can start adding up points and you get free stuff, man. Just go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and get signed up and start ordering from BB's Market, all part of Endeavor Hospitality and the Wow Club. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. What do you mean ended here? Well, there's no, what do you mean end it? What would you use to fill for the radio time? You know what? Let me hey, oh god dang it, I didn't mean to do that. Son of a bitch. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. I hope you had a great weekend and ready for the week as we're kind of in the lull time between football and kickoff as fall camp is full underway. Indiana had their first live scrimmage over the weekend. Of course, we weren't there, but we'll hear later from Connor Bazelak, Jack Tuttle, and Tom Allen, the principals in this. My personal take has been, I think that, and it's hard to do, this is just strictly on guessing. So this is not because I think I know something. I don't. It's just my hunch. I think that Connor Bazelak will end up being the guy that starts. I think that because Indiana is going to need an offense that is quick hitting, quick moving, quick punching. Quarterback's going to probably need the ability to move a little bit. And Bazelak seems to be more of that guy to me. I think that he has a better deep ball, actually. So that's what I think is going to end up being. And I think Indiana football has a better chance of being competitive this year than a lot of us may have thought, because all we have to base it on is last year, a 2-10 team that just looked, horrid. So there's so much difference now, but we haven't seen it. So it's kind of hard to prognosticate on that, but I think it's going to be better than we had thought. But we'll find out after that first game. Tanis says, Ty Washington and Shiloh Sanders both signed Porsche NIL deals. That stuff's going to happen. It's no big deal. I mean, it's going to continue to happen. It's going to happen. That's going to happen at Indiana. I mean, that stuff is going to happen. So you also have to remember that these kids signing Porsche deals and deals like that, I don't know that I would want it to have been responsible for driving a Porsche. And by signing a Porsche deal, I don't think that they're getting that Porsche. I think I think those are leases. So you have to hopefully, man, you've got to be very responsible. And they're putting people are putting a lot of hope in the responsibility of some of these kids. So we'll see if that ends up being an issue. I hope not, just for anybody anywhere. I just don't want to see that be a problem. But we shall see. I wish someone would give me a Porsche deal. That would be awesome. I'd pull it right up in front of Metalworks Brewing Company. All part of course, part of the Wild Club, bringing you this segment. Located right off of the square in Bloomington, former Function Brewery. But I may get out to practice today. I think that they've opened it up a little longer, and I'm waiting to find out. That would be nice. We do get to talk again to, I think, Tom Allen today. Indiana football is pretty open with, and has always been open with talking to people. So we have to thank them for that. I know that there hasn't been a lot of access, but it's not. I don't really care. I'm serious when I say that, because I get it. Indiana needs to win that Illinois game so badly that you need to do any and everything you possibly can. That's the job of the coach, the head coach, and the rest of them down. And if that's something that will give you an advantage, and it does give you an advantage, there's no way it doesn't. There's absolutely no way it doesn't. And in this day and age, it is so hard to ever achieve this, keep things under wrap. that, yeah, I would do the same damn thing. I would be doing the same daggone thing. Why? Why not? Force is easy. He just wants a Yukon Denali. I think that's what Woody drives. Tanis is going to give me an 83 Monte Carlo instead. But I forget what I was saying. But anyway, yeah, why not? Why would you not? Why would you want to help your opponent? You don't. And you've got a new coordinator, a new quarterback, new running backs, new receivers. They've got no one to scout. The only person they could scout maybe is the offensive coordinator. So I get it. And you're right, five lefts. Taiwan Mullen and company better be ready. Illinois, well, they're a Big Ten team. So yeah, they're going to have good players. But not only that, more importantly, five lefts, I think the defense is going to have to set the tone for most of these games. That's just a guess because I haven't seen the offense. I haven't really seen this defense, but I have a good understanding knowing what's coming back and who's in charge. So Indiana should be fairly decent at defense on the defensive side of the ball, enough to give them an opportunity. And if the offense is halfway capable, man, that's all they needed last year was a halfway capable offense. Then they'll be fine. But I do agree with you. The defense has to step up, they have to stay healthy. That was a gigantic problem last year is health. When you're a team like Indiana who does not have a lot of depth, man, you get some injuries, it's over. Taiwan Mullen, that was just killer. So you've got to stay healthy. That's the key for any sport. Let's see. Tanner says Woody is too large to fit into a Porsche unless they're going to give him a Cayenne. There you go. And he says, Jim, that Monty got wrapped around a telephone pole in the winter of 99. Yeah, that tends to happen to someone. Steve P jumping on says, yeah, Illinois is really important. They could be 3-0 with a loss, especially a close one, and all bets are off. Well, that's my point. Indiana can not only jump out to a 3-0 start, and then they can go to play a Cincinnati team that if they're 3-0, then that tells me they have every opportunity to win that game. And then if you go 4-0, now you've got a lot of confidence. You're not going to go undefeated, but you're most likely going to go bowling. Because if you can go 4-0, then you've only got to go 2-6 for the rest of the season, with games against Purdue, Nebraska, Rutgers, Maryland. Am I missing someone? I think not. You would only have to win 2 out of your remaining 6 games, with 4 of them being against teams you should absolutely be competitive with, and at least 2 of those games being at home. So winning a road game, where does Indiana win a road game? Can they go back to Nebraska and win? Nebraska doesn't exactly seem like they're rolling right now. Can Indiana go back to Nebraska and win? That's a big question. Tough place to win, but they did it a couple of years ago. They had a tough team. They had a tough quarterback. They had some tough players. So that'll be an interesting, but they get Purdue at home. So that has to help. I think Rutgers is on the road, so that's actually good. One of your chances for best chances for a win. not in a difficult environment. So, I'm starting to try to have some positive feelings about what this season could be like. But again, it all starts and ends with that first game. You win that first game and just jump on top of the ball and let it start rolling. Caleb says that Nebraska has a good transfer piece at quarterback from Texas. Tough game, but can be competitive. They lost, I don't know, how many of their games were 1 point or 1 possession games last year, 1 point games, whatever it was. It was crazy. Nebraska, that is. Absolutely nuts that they dealt with on that. So there's that. Let's see. There was something else I meant. Oh, Devontae Green. He signs a deal to play in Hungary. The former Hoosier, former combo guard, signed a contract with Adam Marirmo, SC Parks in Hungary's A division for this upcoming season. He played last season in the Greek GBL League. He averaged just over 8 points, a couple of rebounds, and assists per game. He was a pivotal player, role player, en route to their semifinal playoff appearance. So good luck to him over there as Hoosiers keep playing. Hopefully they can get that TB team set up next year. That would be something fun to keep track of. Just something fun to do during the summer. Arrington Page is someone they're waiting to hear him from, but I don't think that you're going to hear from him for a minute. So just going to have to wait. And it doesn't much matter. I think that Indiana is going to generate a ton of momentum when the season starts. Hoosier hysteria is going to start at A. And then when you have these big games, if they could pull off a win, you beat North Carolina, which beating Kansas to Kansas, that's a tough assignment. That Arizona game, there's an opportunity. You do that, you are on you're on everyone's radar then. I think John's telling me, are you saying to take a break, John Boyd? I don't think we're quite ready there, are we? Yeah, Kansas and IU fans will have a chance for decent seats in the Arizona game. As a matter of fact, the Kansas game will be like a normal road game with IU getting, well, now this says very few seats, so I think they may have I don't know. Arizona's tickets should be easy to get. The one that's the game. It's in Las Vegas, so why they would get few seats for that, I have no idea. Now the Kansas game, yeah, forget about that. Forget about that. Forget about it. As I'm trying to look across them, I've called out to Vegas and could not get any information yet. They said that has to do with the promoter, and I couldn't find who the promoter was. So, still trying to find out about that. When they will go on sale. They haven't been out there yet. You also have the Colts playing in Vegas in November. So there you go. Make it on. And the National Finals Rodeo is going on out there at the same time, just so you know. So there's always that. We've got to take a quick break. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. We got lots more coming up. Back with more. Brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda and Metalworks Brewery. Right after this. Well, if you think you can fill that in. All right. Well, this sucks. Yeah. Cool. Yep. Okay. All right, folks on YouTube. John's having a technical issue today, so we're going to end the show at this point, and for the radio portion, just put up something from previous deals, and I'm going to head to football practice. Did I ever cover bull riding, or did I competed? Tanis half 11. Yeah, no, it stinks. Y'all can blame John though. He can't hear anything, and y'all can't hear him. So yeah, that does stink, man. Yeah, it'll be much better tomorrow. All right, well, I'm heading out to football practice then. Sorry, peeps. Thank you so much. Let's see, Albany had high football 2 or 3 impact players transfer from Louisville to help out this. Okay, I'm just trying to, man. Hey, we got to start giving out visors, John. So every Monday, a question from last week. And it's about something that somebody that was on the show said. But they have to be following us on Twitter or following me on Twitter, yada, yada, yada. Okie dokie.